This story begins in a rich area of America where living is everyone's dream. But now this place is no less than hell because something terrifying has taken over that spares no one. A model named Kate is out walking her puppy when she spots a beautiful location and decides to take some selfies. But when she looks back at the photos, she notices someone standing behind her, and the sight freezes her with fear. At the same moment, her puppy runs into the bushes and starts screaming loudly. Kate tries hard to call him back, but only his collar comes out, and an uneasy fear takes over her. In panic, she steps onto the road without looking and gets hit by a speeding car that throws her far away. But as she lies on the ground, we see shapes moving around her, which are actually coyotes, far more savage than wolves. These coyotes have now spread terror across every area of Los Angeles where humans live because humans destroyed their forests, and now they show no mercy. After this, the story shifts to our main characters. First is Scott, then his wife Liv, and their daughter Chloe, who has a dog she is deeply attached to. Today, Scott has called pest control because rats have been troubling him for days, and he wants to get rid of them completely. But the man he calls is extremely strict about his job and says that rats are attracted by dog food. So the real solution is to get rid of the dog itself. Hearing this, Chloe becomes furious. Meanwhile, the TV shows a news alert that a powerful storm is expected tonight and everyone should stay inside their homes. Liv asks Scott to tie the trees outside because they might fall and cause damage, but Scott ignores her and says the media always exaggerates things. That night, they plan a movie night, but then Julie arrives, who has actually come here by mistake. Liv gives her the correct address and sends her away. After that, they start enjoying the movie, but Scott is still busy with his work. The movie is a little scary, so before it even finishes, everyone goes to their rooms and decides to sleep. But Charlie, Chloe's dog, keeps barking while looking outside the window. When Chloe looks carefully, she feels that maybe there is an injured dog outside that needs help. So she goes to her parents' room and tells them that someone outside needs their help. Liv asks Scott to go and check. When Scott steps outside, he sees a coyote staring directly at him, but the moment he blinks, it suddenly disappears. At the same time, the lights go out and the whole area falls into darkness because a tree has fallen and cut off the electricity of the entire neighborhood. The next morning, everything becomes clear again, and Liv notices a blood-stained collar lying outside that belongs to their neighbor's cat. She immediately takes it to the neighbor and explains what she found, thinking that maybe the cat got hurt when the tree fell. But when they clear some bushes, they discover parts of the cat's body lying there, which makes it obvious that the coyotes had killed and eaten it. Scott calls his friend Tony to help remove the fallen tree because Tony has a cutter, but the tool is too small to handle such a big job. Tony's wife Sheila has already warned him not to stay there for long, so after waiting a little, he decides to walk back home. On the way, he suddenly comes face to face with several coyotes that attack him and kill him. Meanwhile, Sheila keeps calling Tony, but the sound of his phone comes from outside their house, where only his phone is lying, along with the coyotes that are now ready to attack her as well. In panic, she tries to scare them away using fire, but instead she gets burned herself and dies. The next day, the danger moves closer to Scott's family too. He shuts the garage gate, but he takes the situation very lightly, thinking that some wild animal must have wandered in from the forest, as it often happens in that area. He has no idea that things have now become far more dangerous. At the same time, we see Trip and Julie, who are Liv's neighbors. They're in their Homer when coyotes suddenly appear in front of them. At first, they think the animals will leave, but when more and more coyotes start coming, Trip begins using his gun. Their numbers are too high, so he grabs Julie and runs, but the coyotes keep following them. Left with no choice, Trip starts firing continuously, which terrifies Julie so much that she runs and hides in the bathroom. Meanwhile, Scott's family is playing a game where they have to guess what someone is acting out, when suddenly they hear loud noises coming from Trip's house. Scott thinks it might be fireworks, but Liv feels something is wrong, so she immediately tries calling the police, only to find all the lines busy, which makes her wonder if everyone is in danger. Suddenly, Chloe runs outside, and Scott follows her, but on the way he runs into Vicky and Tess. Chloe doesn't panic, picks up Charlie, and heads toward Tripp's house. As soon as he goes inside and sees the condition there, he is terrified, and when he looks at Tripp, he is shocked to find him still alive but taking his final breaths right in front of him. At the same time, gunshots come from the bathroom. Scott tells her he came from the neighboring house to help, and only then does Julie open the door. She lies and says that she was fighting alongside Tripp, but he told her to leave, so she came here and hid. Scott praises her bravery, which is exactly what she wants to hear. He then tells her that it's not safe for her to stay here and asks her to come to his house, where she will be safer, even though they will have to cross a dangerous distance filled with coyotes. Scott brings her downstairs and outside, where a few coyotes are still present, but Julie uses the gun and kills them, and they quickly get into the car because walking at this time is not safe at all. Liv and Chloe are terrified by everything happening, and Chloe admits that all of this is her fault because one day she fed a coyote, then it brought others, and when they became hungry, they started attacking, making her feel responsible for the destruction. Liv comforts her and explains that she only tried to help, and none of this is her fault. Meanwhile, Scott is still stuck in the car because Julie keeps distracting him with her useless talk. Julie says all of this is happening because of the government, that they release some kind of chemical into the air which forced these coyotes out of the forest and turned them violent, and now they are attacking humans just like in a movie. Scott gets so caught up in her talk that he forgets they still have to open the main gate, but by then they're already inside, so he gathers courage and crashes the gate with the car, which ends up damaging the vehicle and forcing them to continue on foot. At that moment, a coyote attacks Scott's shoulder, and this time Julie just stands there watching, but Liv rushes in and saves his life. Now all of them are under the same roof, which makes them feel a little safer. But things are about to get even worse because the candles burning in Tripp's house start a fire, first catching the curtains and then slowly spreading through the entire house. And soon that fire is going to reach Scott's house as well. As time passes, panic grows because no help is coming until morning and they must survive on their own. And suddenly they hear a coyote from upstairs that has entered through the window Liv had closed. Seeing it come down, everyone hides wherever they can, while Chloe goes upstairs because the smell of chicken stored in a tin attracts the animal. There, Chloe makes a mistake when she steps on a toy, making a sound that draws the coyote toward her, and Scott and Liv both see the danger. Liv acts first by throwing a blanket over the coyote and then strikes it again and again with a rod until it's finally dead. When Scott rushes upstairs to check on Chloe, he collapses from shock, but Chloe is still alive. When Scott regains consciousness, Liv tells him that they must act fast, because if they do not take Chloe to the hospital, she will not survive. Liv tells Scott that they have to do something, and her idea is to build a cage using whatever materials they have in the house, so they can stay protected and reach the hospital safely, because no help is coming before morning. Scott agrees and immediately starts working on it, but after some time, he hears strange noises coming from inside the walls. At first, he thinks they might be rats, but when he listens carefully, he realizes they sound like dogs, which makes no sense because how could dogs be inside the walls? Curious and worried, he enters the narrow shaft to check, even though it is very tight. Inside, he discovers that they're not dogs at all, but baby coyotes that somehow got trapped in the house walls. He understands that their presence might be the reason for all the chaos outside. So he carefully picks them up and brings them out, placing them near the strong plastic cage he had built, believing that having them might keep the adult coyotes calm and help them escape safely. When the mother coyote sees her babies, she becomes calmer, takes them quietly, and walks away without attacking. This gives them a chance, and now they finally step outside, knowing they must reach the hospital as fast as possible to save Chloe. Chloe now feels that everything is finally under control and becomes relaxed, but suddenly a coyote attacks her again, and this time Scott himself kills it to save his daughter. Without wasting a second, they rush into the van because Scott understands that the only way to survive is to leave this place as fast as possible. Otherwise, one by one, they will all die. As they drive a little farther, their entire house explodes behind them. And the reason is that the fire from Tripp's house had already reached their home, and the moment it touched the gas line, the whole place blew up. Seeing this, Scott realizes that if they had stayed even a little longer, they would have been burned to ashes. They survived only because they kept moving and never gave up, proving that sometimes survival depends on acting at the right moment. And with this, the story comes to an end.